Hey, it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? And we want to talk about smartwatches for a second. Now, smartwatches are still kind of a tough category to describe because there are so many of them out there. And thanks to Android Wear, we have so many of them that range from the incredibly expensive and gaudy to the easily accessible and affordable. And unfortunately, we can't really think of any one Android Wear watch that any of us here at Android Authority really truly love. There's kind of a reason for that. Aside from the look of the watch that you might be buying, the experience of Android Wear is largely the same across the board. You have a lot of functions available in Android Wear, even some watches that are able to take calls and also respond to messages, be notification centers, and there are sporty ones that rock GPS, heart rate monitors, and finally NFC is available for things like Android Pay. And that's where the Ticwatch came in. Powered by a custom version of Android, Mobvoi hoped to separate themselves from the rest of the Android Wear devices by providing a different experience that included one impressive quirk, a touch-sensitive panel over on the side that you could tickle in order to scroll through all of the elements inside of the smartwatch. Me personally, I'm always a proponent of more input methods, especially on smartwatches, so you don't have to rely on just the screen to do everything. Well, with this, Ticwatch was able to carve out its own little space in the world of smartwatches that has become incredibly saturated. But with the latest edition of the Ticwatch family, the affordability of the device became the priority. And with that, Mobvoi put Android Wear into their Ticwatch. The result is this, the Ticwatch S and the Ticwatch E. Now before we even get to any other portion of the design, we have to say that the tickle portion, the touch-sensitive panel, is not available on these versions of the Ticwatch, which is a bit of a bummer because for a device called Ticwatch, there are a couple of expectations, and that is actually one of them. The change to Android Wear is a whole different story that we'll get to later, but for now, just know that the Ticwatch S and the Ticwatch E are pretty much all screen all the time, with the exception of the button over on the left. Our review units came in very particular colors. The Ticwatch S came in this very loud yellow-green mixture of sorts, and unfortunately the Ticwatch S already started to show signs of wear and tear even after just a few days of usage while out in Hawaii for the Qualcomm Tech Summit. Now there's some obvious pitfalls to having a device that looks like this. After all, it doesn't really blend in very well with the outfit I have on right now. It usually works more for casual and even sporty looks, like this. There, that's more like it. So obviously the Ticwatch S works better with a wardrobe like this, and if you're wearing a tie and maybe like a suit jacket, this watch is just going to stick out like a sore thumb. But then again, that's the reason why you have something like the Ticwatch E, which looks like this. There you go. This is the matte black version of it, and there are a couple of other ones available in the Ticwatch family of the E devices, but this matte black one actually blends in with pretty much any wardrobe. And at the same time, it does still come with GPS and a heart rate monitor, so you can still do some of the fitness stuff. So that means that this watch will blend in better with casual clothing and with other wardrobes like the one I had earlier. You might notice that we're not really showing the Ticwatch E as much in this video, and that's because this happened to it. Just a couple of days into our recent trip, the watch just started spazzing out. As far as I know, there wasn't any wear and tear or any major bumps that happened with the watch. The screen just started to flicker and it had a permanent version of an Android Wear card at the bottom. So unfortunately, the Ticwatch E was not the watch that we would be able to use continuously for our review. So you might want to take that into consideration when it comes to the price point of the Ticwatch E in particular. It is the cheaper one of the two devices, and based upon the price point, you might want to remember that your mileage may vary in terms of the QA on these devices. Both the Ticwatch S and the Ticwatch E have the same specifications for the most part across the board. The Ticwatch E simply has its GPS inside of the units, while the Ticwatch S puts the antenna inside of the proprietary bands. And both also rock the same displays, so despite the Ticwatch E's problems, the Ticwatch S shows us that the 1.4-inch OLED display works quite well for Android Wear, and since it's an LED panel, it's able to do always-on display capabilities without taking up extra battery. The rest of the specifications are also the same, including MediaTek processors that work well even after weeks of usage, and 4GB of onboard storage if you want to put music files in there and listen to them without needing your phone around. Mobvoi omitted any cellular capabilities in order to extend battery life, and they say that it would get up to 2 days. We got about 1.5 days, but we felt like we had to charge it nightly just to be sure that we didn't run out of battery in any middle of the day. So what makes the S different from the E is mainly just its looks and where the GPS antenna is located, because both still have heart rate monitors. And you can also get pretty much the same experience when it comes to health applications in either device. The health application is very Apple Watch-esque with its circular designs, but it does do a good job of counting calories, steps. It is also good for doing sleep tracking, but I use Sleep as Android, the app in Android Wear, in order to do that. Overall, it does a fine job of general fitness tracking, and it's nice to have these tools available on a smartwatch whenever you do kind of want to check your vitals or at least track what you're doing. But with Android Wear, you get an experience that is very similar to a lot of other Android Wear devices. The Ticwatch S and the Ticwatch E are very affordable, but they're not that much cheaper than other devices in its same category. But the Ticwatch S and the Ticwatch E do come with the latest version of Android Wear, which come with it all of the different features, like different applications, also gestures, and overall just a slightly more refined design to the Android Wear that we think needs a complete overhaul. But it begs the question as to who really wants a smartwatch like this. After all, they kind of reflect their price points. The all-plastic designs of the two that we got kind of make us think that these are more like toy watches rather than true timepieces. But again, the price point is meant to reflect that. And at $159 for the Ticwatch E and $199 for the Ticwatch S, it's basically coming down to whether or not you have ever used a smartwatch before. If you never have and you don't want to use up too much of your money on any one smartwatch, this might be the one for you. You can get into Android Wear pretty easily thanks to Mobvoi and their Ticwatch family, even if what we loved about previous Ticwatches no longer is the case here. So will this be your first smartwatch? With the original Ticwatches, that recommendation was a bit easier to make because the Ticwatches were actually a bit unique compared to the rest. Now you just have an easy way of getting into Android Wear, and if you just want to get your feet wet in a new form of tech, well, this might be one of the easiest places to do it. As always, thank you guys very much for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this video on the Ticwatch S and the Ticwatch E. If by the end of 2017 you're still looking for a smartwatch that you don't have to really spend a whole lot on, and it has a very low point of entry, well, this just might be it. So keep it tuned to Android Authority for more on this and all wearables, and you can keep it tuned here for also all of our coverage of CES, as it is going to be happening in just under 3 weeks. Keep it tuned here and head over to AndroidAuthority.com for even more, because we are your source for all things Android.